I'm here with Lynne Suprock, and she has brought the most adorable book necklaces ever. They're so cute.
Thank you.
I love like the little owl one and the birds, and I see you can do them in shapes, like there's a little house shape there. And you said that it's super easy and even I could do it.
Even you can do it, that's right. It's really easy. So to get started, what we need is something very simple as well. We're going to use credit cards or old room keys or whatever you have that you bring home sometimes. And then we're going to take that and make templates. And that's going to be your pages.
So to make your template, you just trace that shape onto regular paper. Doesn't have to be anything fancy.
This is cardstock. Then I brought along some of the handmade paper that I have, and I did that as well. So you have your option of what you want to fill your book with when you're finished. So you have your pages, and then you're going to take that credit card and you're going to cut it in half so that you have it two pieces. And you're also going to take one of your pages, you're going to also cut that in half because we'll use that as a template later to make the little holes. So once you do that, we come over and then we would use our two-part epoxy clay. We're going to take that in one big ball, mush it all around, mix it all up. Doesn't really, sometimes it's a little marbled, but that's okay. It doesn't affect the hardening of it. So I would take one of my halves of credit cards and I would take one of the balls of clay and I would just smoosh it down like that. Just going to smoosh it.
Now we're making the covers of the book as opposed to the pages, which are super easy. You could do paper, you could do photographs, mini tiny scrapbook. You could have love notes inside.
Right, and a little artwork from you.
Whatever it is, but we're just making, you know, that would be cute.
Little dogs, yeah. So after I get the clay molded on there, I really want to make sure the edges are clean. So I'll come on my craft mat and just kind of scrape it off like that. So I
thought you were going to use a blade or something.
I don't even use a blade. I don't need to have a blade. But you say I have some fingerprints or glove marks in there. How to get that out of there or to make it smooth is just to add a little bit of this epoxy, two-part epoxy solvent. So I'm just kind of smoothing it. See how that nice and smooth.
I thought maybe you were going to use like a roller, like you do with polymer clay or something like that.
No, you could, but I'm quick, and it's instant gratification. That's that's what I do sometimes. So you smooth it all out, and once you've done that, I have two right here that have hardened. After just a few hours, it gets hardened, and then I have before it hardens, I'm going to also put some stamping into it. So I'm going to use an embossing plate. And I'm going to just press it in like that.
I have to point this out because I think this is an incredibly cool idea, which is these are embossing folders that you would normally use in a traditional die cutting machine, but you have cut them apart. You have ripped them into two tools, and now you are using them basically as texture plates.
That's what I have them for, texture plates. I also have the other ones that are nice and not cut apart, but these are cut, so I use them as
you could use a rubber stamp, right?
That's right. You can use a rubber stamp or anything to put the texture into it and release.
And because you have this agent which you've been using to smooth it down, does that mean that it won't grab onto whatever?
Correct.
So if you didn't use that, you would probably have to use some kind of release agent.
Very good point. You want to have something that's going to release out your product that you're stamping in or your embossing folder. So once I have that done, I'm going to choose to make mine into a necklace. You don't have to. You can have a little book of your own just to write in, but I have a little jump ring that I'm going to now kind of embed right into that clay. As it sits there.
Are you putting it just like, it's a sliver in the top there?
Just
You're not even worrying about it. You're shoving it in there, no adhesive.
Right, because when that clay dries, that's going to be cemented in there and you don't have to worry about it falling out. So I'm going to just remove my gloves and I'm going to come over here. So after that's happened, I have samples. Remember, we have the back plate. It's the credit card that's still on there.
How long did this dry for to be this hard?
I left this product for this project overnight.
Okay.
And then I just had it nice and hard and there was no question about it. So I'm going to take this plate off now and I'm going to use just dental tools, clay tools,
kitchen knife,
but dedicated.
Dedicated, don't use it on food.
So what I'm going to do is come into one of the corners. Can you see I got a corner? And then I'm just going to make it come all the way around and it's going to pop
And you didn't put a release agent on that card before putting the clay in. So it's important, obviously, that it's plasticky.
It is important that it's plasticky.
I assume if you used a credit card that had raised numbers, you might see those numbers in the back of that.
It's a way to emboss in another way, right? So what I'm going to do after I pop that credit card off is I'm just going to use a little acrylic. I'm going to paint both sides because I want it to be black. And that's because I'm going to want it to show up in a different way with a metallic paste.
Well, I was also going to say you're painting both sides because remember, we're making a book. And a book, you'll see both sides of the cover, right?
Right, good point, thank you. When you open the book, you can you can add other pieces of paper, you can do something inside, but it's easy to just have it painted.
Well,
because
before
it
we go
looks
any
good.
further, I noticed that this has holes. So why don't we
Yes.
talk a little bit about those holes?
Yes, it does, and you're right. Before the clay does dry, I have a skewer that I've used.
I like your high-tech tools.
I've used the template, thank you, and the template would lay right onto the clay.
So I know that when we originally cut one of those pages in half, this is the template that you made, and you
Yes,
simply
earlier.
put 5 holes in one side and
right.
1 hole on the other side,
Right,
just so that you could go ahead and create basically the holes you need to stitch the book together.
Right, at the end you're going to stitch the book together, and then you're going to add jump rings so that you can tie it together with some ribbon. So once you have your holes and it's dried and it's painted, we're going to add a little bit of the paste, and you can do that with your finger or add it with some
Well,
gloves.
let's add some paste.
So-
that looks like a little too much
Well-
fun not to have. Come on, Lynn.
Well, let's just we'll move all these tubes out of the way. And it's a metallic paste that I do use to do this. So we're going to get this effect by adding this to your pinky. You're going to end up just rubbing it like that, and you'll see how that kind of
You know what I
makes
love
that
about
pop.
this is that raised surface. So the black lines stay in sort of the recessed surfaces.
Right.
Whereas the paste only goes on those raised surfaces, and the effect that you get in the end is this lovely sort of aged, antique, distressed look.
It is. If you put more paste on, you'll get a heavier coat of that up, and if you don't put as much on, and you get a lighter coat.
Fantastic. So if you wanted to glue an embellishment on, you're just going to use a 2-part resin or something.
Right, it's actually, there's a paste with this 2-part epoxy, there's a 2-part epoxy paste, and that's just like a glue where you mix part A and B, a little bit on the back of your embellishment, and it sticks to it like cement.
And of course, if you didn't want to make a tiny little necklace, you can make a big book that stands alone. I love it. It's perfect for a wedding, an engagement, a party, anything like that. This is a beautiful idea. I love the book necklace that you're wearing.
Oh, yep, done the same way, a little bit of a different template, and again, you have ribbons, jump rings, embellishments. You can make it your own. It's just
It's got that little niche in the center for a photo. I love it. And of course, if you want to know how to stitch a book block together, you can visit our website and find all of that out.